And away we go.
Right, seems like it's going to be a busy news story, so let's get right into it.
Indeed we shall.
All right, let's see what the first story is.
Alright then. Marseille police kill man suspected of stabbing 5 people in city centre.
Sounds brutal. Let's hear more.
5 people, including a hotel manager and the manager's son, were stabbed at a hotel in the southern French city of Marseille on Tuesday, and one was in critical condition, the city's prosecutor said. The Tunisian attacker, who had 2 knives and a crowbar, died after being shot by police, prosecutor Nicolas Besson and the police said. Besson told reporters that the attacker, a legal immigrant, had been evicted from the hotel for not paying rent. The incident took place at 2:45 p.m. in Marseille's first arrondissement or district.
Well, all I have to say is this: it is very unfortunate that everyone in that situation got hurt or killed, and my condolences are out to those people who were hurt. And that is just a very unfortunate situation to be in. I believe that, people, like most people are lucky. Like there are people out in the world who are lucky enough to not have to experience that type of so I would say that to say this, my condolences are with the people and the families who were affected by this thing for their I'll probably get to it later on or another time. But yeah, it's like anyways, yeah, the situation surrounding this is very unfortunate. So yeah, it's like people are ultimately getting hurt. People are ultimately getting hurt, and it's just like it's unfortunate, like be able to see this type of situation coming into full circle. So my condolences are with those people, you know, with their families. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Vogue taps Chloe Mal to succeed Anna Wintour as head of the US fashion magazine.
All right, let's hear more.
Anna Wintour ended weeks of fashion world speculation on Tuesday when she named Chloe Mal her successor as head of editorial content at Vogue. But the most powerful person in the business isn't going anywhere. Wintour, 75, remains chief content officer for Condé Nast and global editorial director of American Vogue and its 28 other editions around the globe. Mal may be stepping into Wintour's low-heeled slingbacks, but she'll report to the original wearer while taking over day-to-day operations at the US edition. And gone is the storied editor-in-chief title that Wintour held for nearly 40 years. Mal, 39, is the daughter of actor Candice Bergen and the late French director Louis Malle. She joined Vogue as social editor in 2011, moved on to contributing editor in 2016, and has held her current position since 2023. In June, she interviewed the then Lauren Sanchez ahead of her wedding to Jeff Bezos. Vogue has already shaped who I am. Now I'm excited at the prospect of shaping Vogue, Mal said in the announcement. Since late June, when Wintour told staff that she was giving up that title, a handful of names to succeed her were tossed around. Well, from what I've just read, it sounds like a big deal. And to change, for someone to step down from her current position and to have a successor to step in right away as soon as possible, there's going to be a lot of people that'll be asking questions. Where the direction of Vogue will go? What is the next era of Vogue? Will Vogue change anything from what they are currently doing right now? There are so many questions regarding its leadership, the decisions made by Vogue, and its long-term plan and direction that Vogue shall go.
Ultimately, I would say whatever Vogue does is, I'll be honest, I never really paid attention to Vogue. I mean, Is it even any good? I mean, actually, scratch that. I would assume it's been around for a long time. But I'd say like yeah, like it's definitely like a tough thing to like kind of figure out. But ultimately speaking, we just have to see where it goes. Because you never really know. It could be good. It could be bad. It could shoot. God forbid, it could like bring them get them out of business. But you never really know what's gonna happen. So like you try something, and if it fails, then just go back to what worked before. There were tons of people who I would say like as far as there were tons of people who make it known that something doesn't work. Like for instance, it's not that big of a deal, but I think there was this one company that changed their logo. I think it's called like Sparrow something or just Sparrow. I'm not sure. I think it's just a big. I think it's like some. Is it a? I don't want to assume, but I think it's some like is it like a beer company or something? Sparrow. And it's like people didn't like the logo, so like they just kept the old logo. Like pretty much the point is these companies do things that work. Like, they try things out to see if it's good, and if it's not, then go back to what worked before. But you never really gonna know. We're just gonna have to see what happens, like with both. But yeah. Is there anything else in the news?
Former CDC directors sound alarm over Kennedy's agency shakeup.
Wow. Okay. Let's hear more.
9 former directors of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention under Republican and Democratic presidents warned on Monday that the decisions made by U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr., culminating in the firing of the CDC's director, are putting Americans' health at risk. The warning, laid out in a guest opinion essay in the New York Times, comes days after the Trump administration fired Susan Monares less than a month into her tenure, and 4 other directors resigned in protest, deepening disarray at the nation's main public health agency. Moranes had refused to adopt new limitations on the availability of some vaccines urged by Kennedy, saying they went against scientific evidence. The 9 essay authors, who include Dr. William Fug, who served as director of the CDC from 1977 to 1983, to Dr. Mandy Cohen, who led the agency from 2023 to 2025, said all of Kennedy's moves to shake up U.S. federal health agencies, from firing thousands of employees to replacing Health Advisory Board members to ending global vaccination programs, put all Americans at risk. We are worried about the wide-ranging impact that all these decisions will have on America's health security, they wrote, adding that rural communities and vulnerable populations will be more at risk. This is unacceptable, and it should alarm every American, regardless of political leanings, they wrote. The former CDC directors said that Kennedy has broken precedent with the role of health secretary by not heeding the expertise of the agency's leaders. Kennedy fired Monares because she did not approve of his recommendations to weaken vaccine policy.
In the big 2025, we're still talking about vaccines. Almost
Yeah,
2026. It's been like what 5, 6 years. Like I'm always gonna ask that question because it's like, didn't we be past this already? Like I don't know. It's like this is just something that we should have been past already. Like we're still talking about this.
yeah,
It's like I'll be honest. If the vaccines were dangerous, and by the grace of God, I will say this: for the people who took them and nothing happened, they're truly blessed. Like that nothing has happened yet. Also, it's unfortunate that like some people did like pass away from them, but I would just assume it's because they already had like existing health issues or health problems, and the vaccine didn't help with their health problems. It's like I would say like it's a miracle that like some people who took it, including myself, some people who took it survived it. If the vaccine was like already it was like already like as bad as it was. I would say for the most part, I had to take two. I had to take two of them. One of them, you know, not gonna lie, I got sick. I got sick from like one of them a couple for like probably like a day, 2 days, and then I felt better. I guess like I don't know. I guess I was like in a way trying to strengthen my immune system and get me used to it. I don't know. Something along. I'm not sure. And then the second one was like it's not it was not bad. It was lucky. One was lucky. Yeah, I maybe like have a stuffed nose and I maybe still talking a little bit weird. But it's like after like when I'm like usually when I'm sick, 2 to 3 days later I feel like mostly better. But yeah, it's like as for the vaccines, like, we know not to trust them. We know not to trust them more. At least I would assume and hope that most people would not trust them after like this incident. And yeah, I would just say like man, you just have to like act accordingly. You have to like you legitimately have to act accordingly in this situation. Because, yeah, it's like you can't really trust that many people, let alone like probably trust your local person like doctor who claims to know more than you. So that's all I'm really gonna say about this. I don't know. Obviously, yes, I think it's to a degree somewhat of a big deal, but I don't think it deserves it. Vaccines, we should have been past it. We really should have been past it. This is something that should be remaining in the past. But yeah, that's all I have to say. That's all I have.
Indeed.
But yeah, I mean, is there anything else in the news?
From novelist to influencer, the many sides to Albert Camus.
From novelist to influencer. That sounds interesting. You start off as a novelist and then become a full-blown influencer. That has to be something. That is somewhat of a story. All right, let's hear more.
Ahead
I'm
of its
intrigued.
festival run, Francois Ozon adapted Albert Camus's The Stranger with a present-day perspective on French Algeria and colonization. Set in early 1940s Algiers under French colonial rule, The Stranger is among the 3 most read French-language books and explores Camus's themes of indifference and tribal absurdity. Benjamin Foissy stars as Mussol, chosen for charisma and past work with Ozon. The film's black and white style unifies visuals, while cast and Ozon balance Messoul's presence through restraint and challenge. Critics noted the novel's original omission of the Arab character, and Ozon said he named that figure, while younger readers and social media have revived interest in Camus. At the Venice Film Festival this year, The Outsider premiered in competition, marking Ozon's return after earlier work, while he met Catherine Camus and emphasized the Algerian War's relevance.
Very interesting story. Very interesting. Very interesting. Perspective. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. Those really late. I mean, it's somewhat interesting, but at the same time, I thought I kind of expected more. Do you have any thoughts?
If it gets people talking, then it is attention well earned and deserved. Even if people are going to have their arguments and opinions about just any European nation colonizing parts of Africa, the Americas, and whatever's left of South and/or East Asia.
But yeah, it's like I mean, it's definitely getting people talking. And I really need to go out and get some from one of those restaurants and make it just with real video. Sorry, I'm just looking at a video. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Parental controls are coming to ChatGPT within the next month, OpenAI says. Yeah,
You know what?
parental controls are coming.
I was going to say something, but that actually wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah, let's hear more about this story.
Parents of teenage ChatGPT users will soon be able to receive a notification if the platform thinks their child is in acute distress. It is among a number of parental controls announced by the chatbot's maker, OpenAI. Its safety for young users was put in the spotlight last week when a couple in California sued OpenAI over the death of their 16-year-old son, alleging ChatGPT encouraged him to take his own life. OpenAI said it would introduce what it called strengthened protections for teens within the next month. When news of the lawsuit emerged last week, OpenAI published a note on its website stating ChatGPT is trained to direct people to seek professional help when they are in trouble, such as the Samaritans in the UK. The company, however, did acknowledge there have been moments where our system did not behave as intended in sensitive situations. Now it has published a further update outlining additional actions it is planning, which will allow parents to link their account with their teen's account, manage which features to disable, including memory and chat history, receive notifications when the system detects their teen is in a moment of acute distress. OpenAI said that for assessing acute distress, expert input will guide this feature to support trust between parents and teens. The company stated that it is working with a group of specialists in youth development, mental health, and human-computer interaction to help shape an evidence-based vision for how AI can support people's well-being and help them thrive.
You know what? I would say as long as it's keeping children safe, that's fine. That is honestly fine. Also, it's actually forcing parents to do their job. That can keep their kids from having suicidal thoughts or somehow having AI encourage them to commit suicide. I don't understand how how you would have to ask a lot of leading questions to get AI to convince you to commit suicide. I'm just gonna say that way. I don't know how someone can do that, but yeah, you would have to ask a lot of leading up questions. You would have to ask a lot of leading up questions. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
Yeah,
But yeah, I would say so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I was gonna be against it, but I'm like, yeah, let me hear it out. It's not a bad thing. It's really not a bad thing. So yeah, is there anything else you can do?
Swiss court to consider climate case by Indonesia islanders against Holcim.
All right, let's go on.
In January 2023, 4 residents of Pari Island, Indonesia, initiated a lawsuit in a Swiss court against the cement company Holcim, alleging that the firm's contributions to climate change have harmed their community. The plaintiffs argue that Holcim significantly contributes to global CO2 emissions, demanding a 43% reduction by 2030 to align with the Paris Climate Agreement goals. The island faces rising sea levels and frequent flooding that have destroyed livelihoods, shrunk beaches by 9 meters since 2021, and forced residents to buy costly drinking water. The plaintiffs seek 3,600 Swiss francs, $4,500, each for home repairs and protective measures, like mangrove planting, while Holcim says it has cut emissions over 50% since 2015. A Swiss court held a hearing to decide whether to consider the case, marking the first climate lawsuit against a major cement firm and a Swiss company over environmental impact.
I don't really have a strong opinion about this, do you?
No, neither do I. But I know Risk would.
In honesty, yeah, Rick would probably have more of a strong opinion about this. I don't. Yeah, I can't really think of anything. I guess let's move on.
Father Ted creator says he was arrested at UK airport over tweets.
Over tweet. Wow, over tweet. Let's hear more about these tweets.
Graham Linehan, co-creator of the TV show Father Ted, claimed he was arrested at Heathrow Airport over social media posts. The Metropolitan Police stated that a man in his 50s was arrested on suspicion of inciting violence related to posts on X, formerly Twitter. One of Laneham's posts suggested physically assaulting transgender women who enter female-only spaces.
Is this where we're at in this society now, where we're getting arrested for tweeting?
Yeah.
Is this where we're at? uh, I'm not gonna lie. That sounds funny. That honestly does sound funny, but in all actuality, it's not funny. I mean, it's like, really, tweet? I mean, come on now, have some thick skin. You know, this used to be America and the UK. Pretty much, what I'm trying to say is pretty much we used to have strong skin. What happened? Getting arrested. Like, so if I were to tweet, now it's one thing if I tweeted something terroristic, like, you know, that was terroristic, and then, like, you know, a threat, and like a security threat to the country. Sure, arrest me for that. But it's like, if it's just an opinion, man, it's like, then, bro, what you arrested me for? It's an opinion. I don't know. It's just me. That's just my. I mean, like, you know, imagine if you got arrested for a tweet, John, man.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Well, you know what? I just go with it because at the end of the day, uh, I'm not the only one in this situation. I think there will be a handful amount of people who would have been in this situation many times before, and they will share their experience, how they handled with the legal procedure and whatever case they're involved with at court. And well, there's always more, but I think that varies depending on the individual who would have been in that situation, because those people would have their own ways and methods of dealing with the situation at hand. But generally, they try, although they would still be honest about what they stand for, their opinions, and the state of how they're being dealt with. But of course, they still, to the best of their ability, just go along with being arrested and having a hearing of some sort, and just go on about their day. Because even they do get arrested, well, given how many prisoners are in the UK prisons, and so many of them are near maximum capacity, those people might be released early anyway. From, well, at least the last time I've heard about UK prisons, they're near capacity and there aren't enough spaces for high offending criminals. So yeah, it's a bleeding joke. Not just in the UK, but anywhere around the world where there are problems that are so obvious, but yet no one's not going to do anything about it because they have priorities on other issues. They can fix the issues at hand. It's as simple as putting a bit of money to building something new homes, new businesses. But most people don't have that as their priority at the moment. And all they care about is ensuring that they protect their own reputation and ensuring that people believe that what these people in power right now, what they are doing, it goes accordingly to plan. But it's not going according to plan because people are just fed up to whatever extent is down to them individually. But otherwise, I think people have just had enough with just anything in general.
Yeah, you know, I would 100% agree. But also, man, it's like, yeah, that's true. But imagine, like, you know, you go into prison and a tough dude a dude who asks, and you're in a cell with a dude who's done worse than you do. He's like, what are you in for? And you say, oh, I'm in here because, and you try to make it sound hard too. I tweeted something. Just imagine that. No, no. Like, but yeah, that's all you can do, honestly. Just go with it. That's really all you can do. I would, yeah, just go with it. Be like, all right, you know. I mean, if you can call for bail or call anyone, you'd be like, oh yeah, hey, I said something on the internet and I got arrested for it. Can you please come get me?
What were cells? a 100-day timeline to fix CRA delays service issues.
Alright, let's hear more about that.
Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne wants to address headaches at the Canada Revenue Agency in 100 days. Champagne has asked the CRA to take concrete steps to address service delays, which could mean reallocating or adding personnel and expanding digital options. The Union of Taxation Employees says more than 3,000 jobs have been lost at the CRA since May of last year, and warns services will only get worse if the planned cuts materialize.
Do you have any initial thoughts on this?
I have a lot to say about this actually. On one hand, too much, although some bureaucracy is needed for management and administration, too much of it's not just going to be a headache for everyday people to get what they need. But also, it's going to be not just complicated and confusing, it's also going to be expensive. Not too much, but the amount of money that would be putting in towards the bureaucratic process of such departments, it becomes so insurmountable to the point. Do we really need this? Do we need this much? Is it necessary to have some kind of waiting time? It's also necessary to have this many people all in one place. Again, not to say we shouldn't have it. If I think the system and whatever department's in place should be as simplified as possible. Efficient and effective, but also simplified. On the other hand, I think I already said it anyway. I'm not going to argue with cutting on funding, but you can't cut too much to the point you can't cover essential expenses that is associated with said department.
Yeah, that's true. I 100% agree. Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. Not really much left to be said there. I would say, yeah, I just agree. For the most part. But yeah, I would say just at the end of the day, I would just need to let it let's see what happens from here. See if anything let's just see what happens from here. That's all I can say about that, really. Yeah. Is there anything else within you?
Police seek help identifying victim in Burning Man homicide probe.
Interesting. That's interesting. Let's see why they're seeking help.
A man was discovered dead in a pool of blood at the Burning Man festival Saturday night, August 30th. He was found just as a huge human-shaped wooden effigy was being burnt in the Nevada desert, authorities said. The man's body was found around 9 p.m. when an attendee flagged down a sheriff's deputy and claimed they saw a male subject lying in a pool of blood. The Reno Gazette Journal reported the Pershing County Sheriff's Office is probing the death as a homicide. The Sheriff's Office said the person was found while the man, a massive human-shaped wooden sculpture, was being torched at the center of the festival grounds in Black Rock City. The man was reportedly pronounced dead at the scene. His body was taken to the Washoe County Medical Examiner's Office. The perimeter was created around the area by local deputies, the Bureau of Land Management Rangers, and Burning Man's own Black Rock Rangers. They interviewed various festival goers at the scene. The deceased man's identity has yet to be confirmed.
Well, I will say this, and I do hope that they can identify that person, and I do hope that some form of justice is being made. Because ultimately speaking, we don't want that person flat out, we don't want that person flat out getting away with it because they did. We just want justice to be had and something we did want something to be done at the end of the day. And I would say if nothing is done, there is no justice. But if something is done, there is a form of justice. Even if it's not 100% satisfying, it's still justice at the end of the day. And I will say it's just a very unfortunate situation for the people involved as well. Yeah, I'm just gonna my prayers and condolences are with them, and I'm hoping that some form of justice is being brought and being made, some form of progress being made as well. Because this is just something that is not right.
Absolutely.
An 82-year-old woman was rushed to the hospital, but scans revealed something truly shocking. Clarifying fetus inside her body for over 40 years. This rare condition is called lithopedion or stone baby. 6 years ago, she had an ectopic pregnancy where the fetus developed outside the womb. Her body couldn't expel it, so it encased the fetus in calcium. The calcium as a protective mechanism preventing infection. The result: a mummified fetus sitting inside her salary for 40 decades, completely unnoticed. Doctors safely removed the stone baby, and the story made global headlines. Around 300 cases have ever been recorded in history, making this one of the longest known lithopedion, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, in modern times. Imagine carrying life inside you and not even knowing it stays forever. Huh. I'll be honest, that's actually very impressive. I mean, I don't know what's going to come of the stone baby, but it's definitely impressive. It's definitely very impressive. I will say that. I just want to read that out real quick. Yeah, what else can you do?
South Korea suspends anti-North Korea radio broadcast.
Well, I mean, it's not really a shocker, but let's hear more of them banning just them banning in general. Let's hear more.
On Monday, September 1st, South Korea's defense ministry announced it had suspended the Voice of Freedom military radio broadcast transmitting to North Korea, marking the first halt in 15 years. Since taking office in June, President Lee Jae-myung ordered the South Korean military to stop propaganda broadcasts and urged activists sending balloons to cease, while the National Intelligence Service suspended broadcasts in July. Dating to 1962, The Voice of Freedom was pulled off air in 2004 and resumed in 2010 after the Cheonan sinking that killed 46 sailors. The Defense Ministry said the suspension marks the first such halt in 15 years, and Seoul has also stopped loudspeakers broadcasts and removed some speakers along the border. The Lee administration presented the step as part of efforts to restore dialogue, but Pyongyang dismissed Lee as hypocrite and reaffirmed its nuclear stance, the Korean Central News Agency reported on Wednesday.
Once again, it's not a shocker. I mean, if you're talking out against, specific, regime or agenda, yeah, you're going to get silenced. You're going to get, and ultimately you're going to suffer the consequences. Whether that's being unplatformed or not necessarily being unplatformed, but being silenced by the media, or, God forbid, flat out killed by your opposition. Or sorry, by the opposition. But yeah, ultimately speaking, it's just not surprising. Okay? But stuff like this happens. I mean, either you get with the system, comply, or you get silent. I wish Yeah, I mean, it is hypocritical, but that's all you can say. It's hypocritical. After that, and like, you just ultimately have to like just work around it and go on with life. Because ultimately, you can't stop it. You can't stop it, no matter how much you want to. I mean, you probably can, but in reality, I would not know how. You wouldn't know how. Rick wouldn't know how. Literally none of us. Literally, I'm just gonna say none of us would know how. Someone does. It's either actually no, you can beat censorship by simply going to like other platforms and doing that. But at the same time, if it doesn't give that much traction, are you really beating censorship? No. I mean, unless you just have a loyal fan base that'll follow you anyway, like Alex Jones or Andrew Tate or Nico, anybody to that extent. Unless you have a loyal fan base that'll follow you anywhere, then sure, yeah, you can probably do it. No problem. Uh, yeah, and it's tough. But what can you really do about it? I'm not saying give up, obviously. Try to beat it. But what can you really do about it? Especially if you have like leaders who don't want certain things to come up. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Zach Polanski elected as new leader of Green Party.
I guess the Green Party, party that no one ever votes votes for. No offense, but it's true. Yes. Let's see. Let's hear about this new leader of the Green Party. Once again, no one ever votes.
Zach Polanski, the insurgent candidate with a radical new eco-populist agenda for the Greens, has swept to victory in the party's leadership race. The vegan London Assembly member, who was born in Salford and went to Stockport Grammar, but got kicked out overwhelmingly, beat joint candidates Adrian Ramsey and Ellie Jones, despite the two MPs' head start in terms of profile in the party. The 42-year-old has been praised by allies as a strong communicator who has energized the grassroots, while Mr. Ramsey and Ms. Chowens accused him of using polarizing language that only appeals to a narrow segment of the electorate. Having worked as an actor and a hypnotherapist, Mr. Polanski had an unusual path into politics. Born in Salford as David Polden, he changed his name at 18 to differentiate himself from his stepfather, also named David. Polanski was his grandfather's original surname, which was changed to avoid anti-Semitism. Mr. Polanski went to Stockport Grammar School on a scholarship, but according to The Guardian, he hated it and got kicked out. Hailing from a non-political family,
Hold
the young Mr. Polanski's political awakening began while studying drama in Atlanta, Georgia, where he witnessed inequality, racism, and homophobia.
Wait, hold on. Back it up. He changed his name to avoid anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Are you that right?
No, you heard it exactly right. He
Oh,
changed his name to avoid anti-Semitism.
I'm not gonna say any. I'm not gonna say much, but we've heard that is like, but I don't know. I don't know if you've seen it around. Like, we've seen around that like specific people change their appearances to appear sorry appear as a certain race. I'm not gonna say that's the case, but come on, you get what I'm trying to say, right? I'm not gonna say it, but I would have said like, man, I'm just gonna say this, regardless on if there's anti-Semitism or not, man, you should embrace it because at the end of the day, it's your name. I wouldn't. Now, it's one thing if it was a terrible. It's one thing if it was a terrible. Like, for instance, if your first name was Sally and you were a boy and you were a man, yeah, I'd understand if you want to change that. I mean, you know, but I guess if you didn't want to, I guess if you want to just avoid the whole thing, I understand that. I understand that part. I understand that. I'm just saying, like, there's gonna be people out there who is gonna be. I'm not doing it because I don't care. Listen, I'm just gonna say there's gonna be people out there who's gonna like probably hear this news and say, "Oh, yeah, he changed his name." Like there's gonna be those anti-Semitism. I'm not saying it because I don't care, but I've just seen some certain things online, right? And that would only fuel people, you know, um, suspicion that Jewish people were trying to kind of migrate themselves in as like regular Caucasian people. That would fuel someone's suspicion. But I don't think that. But I do believe that like he just changed it, because of anti-Semitism. But I'd say just embrace it. It's your name. Embrace it. Say, yeah, man, I'm Jewish, and that's my name. I think just embrace it because yeah, it's your name. But I mean, not that, but I would get it, as for the stepfather, eh, if you want to change it because specifically because of your stepfather, I get that. I get that. Stepfather, but
I was
yeah,
just more annoyed. I was just
that's
more
all I gotta
annoyed
say about that.
that this. I was just more annoyed that this report keep mentioning the fact that he's from Manchester. He's from Salford, Greater Manchester. Like, although it's important to understand where he's from, but you've already said that already. We don't need to be reminded where he's from. Then again, I am reading this article from Manchester Evening News, which is very local. So you know what? Fair enough. Other news reports have said that when he was campaigning to become the next leader of the Green Party, he's standing himself as to be an anti-Nigel Farage kind of figure. So he's going against Reform UK and, of course, Labour as well. And he has said that we're not going. And someone did ask, are you willing to work with any of the parties, like Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana's new Your Party or possibly Labour? And he said, no. He said something along the lines of, no, I'm not going to work with Labour. We are aiming to replace them. You know what? Fair enough. I'll give them that. Otherwise, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, he has every right because the Green Party is just booming. The Green Party is just booming. You know, well, no one cares about the Green Party. I'll be, I'll be honest. I don't care. I don't care about the Green Party. Risk probably doesn't care about the Green Party. I mean, I don't even, let alone, I don't even care about politics. I don't know. It's like their interest. Like, I realize that people are more interested in politics when they either hate a politician or politicians, or they really like a politician, or they're just simply into politics like that. So some people find it fun for a season, and some people just find it fun to just debate and talk about politics in general, because it sparks outrage. I'd say politics is pretty much a person's gospel, and whoever politician they support is their Lord and Savior. I just don't care about politics in general. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. And is there anything else in the news?
Let's see. Australia moves to stamp out nudity and stalking app.
All right, that's bit of an oddball, but let's hear more about that.
Australia's Communications Minister, Anika Wells,
Oh wait,
stated there is, yeah, that's literally a name. A yeah,
really
really. Yeah, really.
interesting.
Yeah. All right. Communication Minister Anika Wells stated there is no place for apps and technologies that are used solely to abuse, humiliate, and harm people, especially our children. The government will collaborate with the industry to develop new legislation against harmful AI technologies without providing a timeline. A Save the Children survey revealed that 1 in 5 young people in Spain have experienced deepfake nudes shared online without their consent. Australia has implemented strict laws for social media use among under 16s, aiming to protect children despite social media companies claiming the laws are vague and problematic.
Any thoughts on this?
Well, I can't say I'm surprised or shocked or frustrated, as I am already. There are some aspects which I understand, like, and we already understand this already, that it's important that young children and minors are not to be exposed to harmful, explicit content at such a young age. However, this is a very easy and safe line that people in power use all the time to say that whatever we're pushing is in good nature for these children, but really, they're only saying that just to increase support of said legislation, which may actually do more harm than they say they think. They say that it's not going to be done at all, but we won't know the consequences or the impacts of said legislation until it is put in place.
Honestly, that's true. I mean, yeah, it's like it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Like at the end of the day, it's like it's a waiting game. I mean, you're never really gonna know what's gonna happen until that's even played. And yeah, it's like we should definitely strive more to protect children. But I'll be honest, I don't believe that these companies necessarily care enough about the children to protect them. Most people, yeah, they don't really necessarily care enough about children to actually protect them and make sure that they're safe on the internet. I would say as for the parents, I say it's the parents' job to try to keep their children away from stuff like that because ultimately speaking, yeah, the internet can scar a child for life, or it can scar a child for a part of their life, just like porn can be part of a young man's life or a young woman's life, but mostly man, to be honest. And until their adulthood, they either they either they either eat it. Let me choose better word. They either overcome it. That's better. That's better. Overcome it, or they never overcome it. And I would say I think if that was the case with me, I'd probably mostly blame myself, parents. Because I could have easily done something to prevent this, but my child was not safe because what I could have possibly done, I would have, I would have blamed myself. Because it's like at the end of the day, I'm the parent. It's my responsibility to do certain things for my child, protect my child from certain things. At least until they're old enough to understand why these things are not good, or just teach them from a young age. Actually, no, teach them from a young age why certain things are good and why certain things are not good. There's actually something that you can do, so when they grow up, they can teach their children not to do it. Teach their children not to do it or comply. Because ultimately, you want your children to be safe. You want your children to be upstanding citizens and upstanding people of society. Instead of police. Or from a secular perspective, you just want them to be a good person. Speaking secularly, you just want them to be a part of society. You want them to be a functioning member of society, a regular functioning member of society. From a secular perspective, yeah, parents, there's something that you can do. Some stuff that we can. There's something that you can try to do. And just protect your children. That's all I gotta say about that. But yeah, is there anything else to do?
I'll see right now.
Tyson has claimed that his Nike sponsorship ended because he continued to speak about Jesus and his Christian faith, saying that he was told he appeared too spiritual to fit the brand image. Nike released a statement confirming that their partnership with Sanat was terminated following recent events without mentioning his faith directly. Well, it's like I said before, I guess I'll be honest, it's been a while since I bought shoes from Nike, but I guess I'm never gonna buy shoes from Nike again, because if they're terminating people for that reason, it's honestly a stupid reason. I'm gonna be honest with you. That is a stupid reason. But at the end of the day, all things happen for a reason. Honestly, all things happen for a reason. And hey, man, good on Kai for not for not folding on his face though. That's I really think that's very admirable. I like seeing that a lot. I like seeing that a lot, really. But yeah, anything else in news?
A new school year starts at Harvard as students live with lingering White House threat.
Okay, let's hear more about it.
Summer break is over and Harvard Yard is waking up again. The nation's oldest and wealthiest university, where red brick buildings went up before there even was a United States. Buzzes with crisscrossing orientation groups, new students learn where to eat, where to study, and why the toe of the John Harvard statue is so shiny. Then line up on this sunny day to rub the bronze shoe for good luck.
Interesting. Interesting. I don't think I really have a strong opinion about this. How about you?
Where are the threats?
That is actually a good. That's actually a good point. Where are the threats? Where are they?
Maybe maybe another news outlet might actually have the answers. Let's see. Nature's wealthiest, returning students have their own stories. Veterans of one of the most difficult semesters in Harvard's university's modern history, they have studied and lived at ground zero of the Trump administration's high-stakes juggernaut against the purported ills of American academia. And now they're back on campus. I do think there's a big spike in how much people feel scared, says Abdullah Shahid Sayel, a junior who is co-president of the undergraduate student body. The summer break was no vacation for Harvard's attorneys, who have been working furiously to reverse two Trump administration moves this year that shocked the campus community. Then the whole of U.S. higher education, the White House cut off billions of Harvard's federal dollars, then tried to block the school's ability to enroll international students, who for the last 4 years have made up more than a fourth, or at least a quarter, of the student body. To justify these punishments of the country's top-ranked university, the Trump administration cited anti-Semitism, starting with pro-Palestinian protests on campus more than a year ago, a painful and unacceptable problem Harvard says it is addressing, as well as alleged discrimination in diversity, equity, and inclusion practice.
First thing I'm gonna say is I don't support anyone discriminating anybody based on racial background, anything of that sort. I mean, there's a way to obviously disagree with someone without necessarily hurting their feelings for being a specific race or being a specific being a specific group of people. Yeah, because I don't think that's right. I mean, I wouldn't want that happening to me. So I would say, why would I necessarily do that to anybody else? And yeah, it's I would say the Trump administration. Whether you agree with it or not, there are some good things. There are some there are some questionable things, but ultimately speaking, you kind of have to pick and see which ones you like. I don't know. It's people are gonna disagree with it. People are going to agree with it. And at the end of the day, you have to deal with it. You do have to deal with it. Do you have anything?
Don't have anything else to add?
Yeah, me neither. All right. Is there anything else?
That is us.
All right. Peace.
Peace.